welcome to the Murfreesboro City Council meeting. It is November 13th. It's 11:30. We're at the Airport Business Center. If you'll bow with me, and then we'll stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Father, we thank you for the chance that we have to be here today for just another day. Lord, I want to lift up a special prayer for Mayor Carr. I pray that he's being surrounded with, Lord, wisdom from the doctors, that you give his family strength, most of all that you give him strength, and that you are the great physician. And I pray that you get him back safely, that you get him back to 100%. Lord, we keep him and his family in our prayers. Lord, we love you and we praise you. We ask all these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I don't believe we have anyone on public comment.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's move to action items. You have the fiscal year 26 capital improvement plan. This is something we talked about at our retreat. Erin.
Yes, thank you. Since we didn't borrow for the FY25 CIP last year, we're requesting approval today of an updated plan. I laid out a revised summary there for y'all that has a few changes from what was presented to council at last month's retreat. The first is to move the Patterson Park roof repairs project from FY28 to this year for a total cost of $350,000. The second change is to move the FY28 Bradley Academy water intrusion repairs to this year for a total cost of $320,000. And the last change is to move the funding for Old Fort Golf's utility cart line item to the golf cart fleet line item for a total cost of $40,000. The city's FY26 projects total a little under $66 million, which is a $4 million decrease from last year's CIP. Water resources projects total $33 million with no change from last year. And in addition, we recommend funding $10 million from general fund for airport and fire projects. If approved, we'll come back to council either next month or maybe in January with a bond resolution to issue the new debt for these projects whenever we're ready. I'm happy to answer any questions and recommend for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. I have one request. I know we talked about this and not expecting us to make a decision this year, but I really, to give Nate some more work, would like to see us have some kind of timeline and budget on how much it would cost to look at Barfield and Sportscom, to at a minimum look at doing turf infields. If we're not going to build fields in the next 2 or 3 years, trying to find out how we can maximize that usage of those fields, I think it's going to be beneficial to everyone. And I will say, as we drive down Old Fort Parkway, seeing that field makes everybody jealous of, and driving down to Jarnett, for the last 3 days, we've had crews working on the softball fields out there, redoing the infields, and there's got to be some kind of cost benefit that would allow us to do turf.
Nate just brought up the fact that he's got budget numbers. You all brought that up at the retreat,
Okay.
and so that was an action item. So he's got some budget numbers already prepared. So he can send those out.
I mean, do you want us to vote on that now?
How much is it?
Yeah, I was going to say.
We did not ask you on that. We just push it over. No, I'm just kidding.
No, yeah. We can always bring it back to revise the CIP as well.
We'll get it out.
And I hate to be adamant about that, but Bill knows this past year, and I'm sure probably Nate knows more than anyone, there was the weather was so bad this year that we tried, when I say we, Little League tried to combine 10 pounds of flour in a 5-pound sack, and it really hurt the entire season on trying to do that. So,
Gotcha.
all right, we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Gales Harris. Mr. Maxwell. Vice Mayor Shacklett. Mr. Wright. Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, let's move to ordinance 25040, fiscal year 26, budget amendment number 1, finance.
Yes, this budget amendment includes cleanup of the FY25 carry forward items for community development and airport fund. We're also including the FY26 CIP funding for fire to purchase 3 additional fire trucks totaling $7.2 million. And Old Fort Golf also is looking to use their accumulated reserves of around $273,000 to replace their golf cart fleet, in addition to the $40,000 that's in the CIP. I'm happy to answer any questions and recommend for approval.
Any questions?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Ms. Gels Harris. Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, we have the hotel motel occupancy tax audit.
Yes, we have a contract for council to consider engaging Strategic Vision Advisory Group for a hotel motel tax audit. The total cost of the audit is estimated at $45,000 and will be funded from the Finance Department's operating budget. I'm happy to answer any questions and recommend for approval.
This, just for your information, there's one minor change that we're still making with respect to dispute resolution process. So it's not material to the work that's being performed, but I'd ask that the motion be to approval subject to final legal approval.
Do we have a motion subject to final legal approval?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Ms. Gels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet. Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, Resolution 25R24, fiscal year 26, CIP roof replacement reimbursement.
This is the FY26 CIP includes $4 million for roof repairs at Cason Lane and Scales Elementary. This reimbursement resolution allows us to move forward with these projects and then reimburse ourselves whenever we issue the bonds. I'm happy to answer any questions and recommend for approval.
So moved.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Ms. Gels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
You have the several city council meeting minutes. Are there any additions or deletions to the minutes? All right, seeing none, can we get a motion, please?
Move for approval.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Ms. Gels Harris. Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wright. Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, let's move to item 6, rezoning property located along Bill Smith Drive. This is second and final reading.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Ms. Gels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet. Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Item 7, ordinance 25OZ 34, zoning property along Old Salem Road. This is second and final reading. Mr. Blomley.
Mayor, and good afternoon, Mayor McFarland and members of the City Council. Let's see. So at our last meeting, there was, and I apologize for going on with this PDF, there was discussion about whether or not a secondary access point was warranted for emergency vehicles. And we told you that we would have additional information for you to consider on second and final reading. We emailed Mr. Taylor, the engineer of record. He put together a conceptual plan showing a gated emergency access onto Old Salem Road at the northernmost cul-de-sac. But in addition to that, we did reach out to our fire marshal, Mr. Brian Lowe, to ask him if he felt that this was warranted. And his response was that while he always prefers to have multiple ways in and out of a development, he said that he thought the future extensions of the stub streets in this development, 1, 2, 3, would accomplish that. And he did not recommend adding the gated emergency access at the northernmost cul-de-sac. In addition, after speaking with our public infrastructure department, they do not recommend it either as well. So, but we have this before you. If you wish for that gated emergency access to be included in the pattern book, then Mr. Taylor and his client are certainly willing to do that. But it is not something that is recommended by our fire marshal. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any anticipation as to when these stub streets are going to be, I mean, is it 5 years, 10 years?
Mr. Taylor said that he has, I think he's signaling, if Mr. Merrick will permit him to
Sure.
come to the podium. But staff's answer to that would be, it would be when we receive development requests, which we don't have a specific time frame on that.
Thank you. Matt Taylor. This property right here is on Commercial Highway today. We just finished a survey for that, and so we're going to be actively pursuing a preliminary plat for this connection here. Now, this construction is going to rely on this construction. The sewer is going to come up to serve this, and so I anticipate this to come really closely to phase one. Now, that could change, but all intentions from this client is he wants to get this road in, get this pad ready, so that he can sell those out parcels. He's already had one deal here that kind of fell apart because that end user didn't want to be burdened with the cost of this road and the sewer, all that on an individual lot basis.
But it's going to connect to veterans, right?
Yes, sir. It'll come out kind of about right there.
Gotcha.
That was a specific request from staff, was to create that stub, to create that connection.
And we had been meeting with Mr. Taylor's previous client on that property, and that was what we were going to be requiring at that time, but I know that contract fell through. So now it appears that the property owner is now moving forward with doing that himself to make the property more marketable, and so we would require that to be extended out to veterans.
Any questions?
Move for approval without the gate.
Have a motion.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Gels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet. Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, we'll move to rezoning property along East Kingwood Drive. This is second and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Gels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet. Mr. Wright. Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, the amendment to, item 9, amendment to Mason Brook Road Development and Construction Agreement.
Thank you, Mayor McFarland. I have printed out and handed to you an updated version of this amendment to the development agreement. This is for the Mason Brook subdivision, and back when Mr. Alcorn was contemplating constructing this or developing this subdivision, there were discussions between him and the city about the construction of what's now been named Stones Battle Parkway through the development. And so as a function of those discussions came the road construction and development agreement, which outlined the expectations for road construction between the city and the developer. Included in that development agreement were certain architectural and design requirements that Mr. Alcorn and any subsequent owner or developer would be held to. Castle Rock Communities has now acquired the development from Mr. Alcorn, and Castle Rock will be building the homes. The final plat is almost ready to be recorded. However, the restrictive covenants must mirror the requirements in the development agreement before the final plat can be recorded. And there is one proposed change to those architectural and design requirements that is included in the development agreement. Castle Rock Communities has requested that the roof pitch be changed from an 812 roof pitch to a 612 roof pitch, which would create a slightly less sloped roof. Researched this to see if there was any specific reason why we added the 812 roof pitch into the development agreement, and I cannot find any reasons specific to this site that would warrant it. I think at the time it was just thought that would be a more desirable roof pitch. However, after looking into it, staff has no objections to the proposed request, and if council approves this amendment to the development agreement, then the developers will be, that will be one of the final hurdles before they are able to get their final plat recorded and start building out there. As I mentioned, an updated version of the amendment is at your desks. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Is it normal operating procedure to put roof pitch in a development agreement?
I've never drafted a development agreement before, so I would have to defer to,
I'm not familiar with why it was put in there in the first place. I wish I.
I think we were trying to secure certain quality of the development as a part of the development agreement. And I think this was one of those elements that the city felt was warranted at the time. However, we have no objection to the proposed amendment.
We won't put roof pitches in the
We can
future
start
development
I
agreements.
mean, it may make sense to start looking at front door color.
Yeah.
So,
We won't, we'll call that stuff out.
I was sarcastic about that.
Was there a
So,
plan book?
for those who are watching, so.
No, sir, it's bulk zoned RS6. So as such, there was no pattern book that went with it. And so I think the thought process at the time back in 2021 was that we would secure some commitment to quality as a part of as a function of the development agreement, absent it being a planned development.
All right, any questions for Mr. Blomley?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Gale Sayers. Mr. Maxwell. Aye. Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Speaking of front door color, front door to Murfreesboro, Chris Griffith.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. Try my technology skills here. This is an item from the council retreat. If you'll remember, we were looking at the possibility of extending Rutledge Way. It's the way that the project is currently designed to our Rutherford Boulevard project. The Rutledge Way connection is projected to carry about 6,600 vehicles per day by 2040, helping to relieve the congestion on Church Street and New Salem Highway by improving traffic flow across the network. While the connection offers some benefits, we also recognize that potential challenges, including increased traffic on nearby streets, business accessibility issues, and property loss. And we were just really just asking for some direction on this. We've got both alternatives on the screen. Of course, alternative one is with the full connection, which would allow traffic basically from the industrial area there to the north to extend or to travel to the south and then to the west across the interstate. Just for reference, a little bit further south here is Riverdale High School. I think you can probably see maybe a little bit of it there. And then to the north is more commercial, Costco across the street, and then some just commercial development there. This way, the only thing that we would still go ahead and place the field through this area in case we ever wanted to do it in the future. And then we would also have to build it a little bit to the south there. We've got currently planned a waste management site, I believe, is approved as that location for them to have access. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Chris, what's y'all's what's your recommendation or what your, I know there's some pros and cons, but what's your overall thought?
Well, one other just side note, it's about $1.3 million savings if we don't do it. There's a reason transportation's in our name. We like moving folks, and so we would prefer the connection to give give folks options. But we also realize, there's other factors in play.
Is Mr. Smythe's team still doing a presentation on December 3rd to us?
Doing what now? I'm sorry.
Mr. Smythe's engineer was supposed to speak at the Joint Council Planning Workshop on December 3rd. Is that still on the page?
I don't believe so. We haven't had a submission for an agenda item for that December 3rd meeting, have we? Okay.
For that roadway, you got to build that up either way, right?
Yes, yes. And
A lot of the problem is that Mr. Smythe's engineer correctly pointed out is we have to get high fairly quickly because of the clearance over the interstate. And by the time you come back down, you're still high here and you're still about 4 or 5 feet high once you get to, his property is lot 10 there, that gravel lot, and you're still a little high at that location. We also have to fill up towards, I think I mentioned it at the retreat, we have to fill up on the north side of it as well, just for drainage in the area. Pretty big box. This is if you guys remember, this is a main drainage pattern that goes across the interstate, across Warrior Drive, through that apartment complex to the Stones River.
I will mention we had our construction acquisition meeting today, and Middle Tennessee Electric is, they're needing to make an extension of their power lines along this roadway as well. So even if we go with alternative two, there's going to need to be some power connection there, and water, and a water line. Yeah, sorry, Valerie, I didn't mean to forget about you too. So there's some utility connectivity that needs to happen.
My thoughts are that you have very limited options and alternatives, and this is one of them to relieve that pressure and that traffic on Salem and on Church Street. So, I know it's causes a whole other plethora of problems, but I think alternative one is more reasonable.
That's a good point, Councilman Shacklet. We started out with this with, I think 11 or 12 alternatives, and this was kind of the best one that we could find. And almost all of, some of them even affected the area to the north there, even worse, just because of how it would tie in below. So we thought that this was a reasonable alternative, but you're absolutely right. It does still have some impacts on it.
But if we're already going through there with water, electric, is sewer going to be extended through that as well, or will y'all make a connection for a loop there as well?
It won't be looped, but we will extend a little sewer in the roadway, yes.
I mean, there's a significant amount of your construction is already going to be in utilities that's already going to have to go through there. So at that point, if you're building a road to the property line, just a dead end, and then you're building a cul-de-sac there, I don't know what that distance is. It's probably 300 or 400 feet that you're having to build more to connect. Is that, I don't know what it's somewhere in there, I would think. I'm not sure you're already doing the work why you wouldn't go ahead and connect it.
It's about, as I recall, it's about $900,000 for the actual connection. I think it's about $300,000 or $400,000 for the property acquisition on it.
Okay. And to the west, is that where the proposed waste management site is going to go right there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Mayor, actually, I misspoke. In that cul-de-sac area, we will not be extending sewer. There is sewer to the north that runs east-west at both of those properties north of
Okay.
Rutherford would be served by.
Okay.
Of course, we also, we field calls regularly about this property here, so we would think once we have that connection that something will go there.
Chris, you said it would save $1 million
To not make the
to
connection.
not make the connection.
Yes, sir.
Let's just say, all right, let's say we didn't make the connection, and then 5 years from now, we say, hey, we need to make this connection now. It's not gonna be $1 million then, it'll be more.
Probably about twice that at that point. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussion? We either need to approve an extension or let him know we're not in favor of an extension.
I make a motion, we approve alternative one.
Well, Councilman Wright brought up, are they actually gonna, I mean, we approved one, but have we heard from any of the entities that own property in there, like their views on it?
Yes, sir. They would prefer just to see, actually, a cul-de-sac all the way down to here, but that gives us some problems just because I think we'll get into some more environmental permitting down here. And then they would, just prefer this road just to connect through.
What is that property being used for right now?
Truck storage. Trailer storage.
Is it a conforming use or it looks like it's gravel? Is it?
I think maybe can probably answer that.
I mean, maybe grandfathered in or,
It's a non-conforming use. They think they do truck storage and they do CDL training, things like that. It's a gravel lot that's not conforming.
okay.
And who, on the left of it, what's going in there? Did you say it was?
It's
Waste management or?
waste management.
Waste Management is currently going through the process toward approval.
What have they said? What is Waste Management, like, if you were to ask them, like?
I've talked to them today, and they, I think, we let them know what this design looked like. I think they liked that.
Which one?
On the alternate one.
Okay. So they like one, but we don't know about the other property owner, like their views. But I think you had said they want the cul-de-sac to go down further, which you're saying there could be some environmental issues.
Chris, I'm sorry to interrupt. Did they reach out to try to do a December 3rd? Did they mention bringing a presentation here at the joint workshop with
I
you?
have not heard that, but
Chris, they're telling me on text, they've reached out to you multiple times and not getting return calls.
I do know enough that their engineer has a voicemail that's not set up. That's the reason why I can't leave him a message.
Is it Bob Warren? Okay.
I mean, I think what would be smart, taking the property owner aside, I don't know when we can make a connection, we typically make connections. I mean, that's just what we do, even on stub streets. Now, there may be situations like Palmer Heights where we say, hey, that connection, there's multiple connections already in the works, but maybe if we've got a motion, but if you would amend that, maybe we give staff the approval for the extension, but with that, to work with their team to mitigate their property as best as possible. But, I mean, my overall thought is you've got a gravel lot that is non-conforming that is being used for truck storage and CDL training, and that, in my thought, should not hurt the ability to be able to give and improve that entire area. I mean, so you're going to have the county road department, you're going to have all those businesses that are out there that could connect from New Salem or Middle Tennessee, not New Salem, back to Warrior Drive now. And it seems like that would actually help improve their property.
And you would think that most of the traffic would want to gravitate north once it gets to Warrior,
Yeah.
which would be back through the commercial area, because they're going to want to get to New Salem Highway.
My concern is, I think I said this at the workshop, is the fact that you got waste management and potentially this truck driving school emptying out onto Warrior. If you emptied out and it was right only, that's one thing. But if you're going left, especially between the hours of 2:30 and 3:45, it's a mess over there at Riverdale High School. So I would say, I would go all alternate too, just for the simple fact I'm worried about even more traffic onto Warrior Drive.
Sure. And then we'll be introducing more traffic to Rutledge as well. We have plans in the future to widen Rutledge, but, we've got a pretty good list of projects we're working on now.
The good news, though, when you look at that traffic, we may be introducing some more traffic on Warrior Drive, but you're taking away traffic at the intersection of Middle Tennessee Boulevard and 99 right now. And so you're moving.
Which, Jim, how much are we pushing through New Salem and Middle Tennessee Boulevard now?
I think it was 45.
45,000 vehicles a day at Middle Tennessee. And
We don't have a second.
I know, well, we did this the other night, too.
Yeah.
So, hey, we have a motion.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'll retract my motion until y'all finish the discussion. I'll just retract the motion.
What about just deferred it, and Chris, can we get with Bob and get set up for them to December 3rd, and then we vote on it at the next meeting, and let them say whatever piece they have to say?
Sure.
Thoughts?
That's fine.
I'm fine with that.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Motion to defer.
Second.
Motion second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Gales Harris. Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye.
Thank you.
Chris. All right, let's move to the inspector and FOG program vehicle purchases. And you get a gold star if you can say what FOG stands for. Members.
Anybody?
I give up.
Bad weather.
Okay.
Fat souls increase. We have two vehicles that we would like to purchase. One is a replacement vehicle. The other is a brand-new vehicle. The replacement takes the place, is for our inspector, and it will replace a 2019 Ford F-150 and purchasing a new Ford F-150. The other is for the FOG program and is a Ford Maverick. And the total of those purchases is around $77,000. It was budgeted in this year's budget, and we request approval for the purchases.
No comments, I move for approval.
Second. Motion second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Gales Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, schools purchase of two 2026 Ford F-250 4x4 SD crew cab. Don.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. The Purchasing Department has completed the procurement of two 2026 Ford F-250s, trucks for the Murfreesboro City Schools Maintenance Department as part of its fleet management plan. These vehicles will support daily operations such as facility upkeep, equipment transport, and work order response. The Murfreesboro City School Board approved the purchase on October 28th, and the city finalized the process on behalf of the schools. Each truck costs $47,469 for a total of $94,938, which includes all applicable charges. Funding for this purchase will come from the county shared bonds. I'm happy to answer any questions the council may have.
And I think Mr. Duke also emailed and said if you have any other questions about anything school-related, Don would be happy to answer
exactly
those
right.
while he's up here right
Ready to
now.
go.
So.
So this is shared bonds, not shared penny, or
Wait, excellent.
who I'd get it in.
Excellent.
Yes, sir.
Any questions for Don?
For approval.
Second.
Motion second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Gales Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet. Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, let's move to workshop items. Item 13, the inaugural Employee Legacy Recognition Program. Ms. Jackson.
Good afternoon. Our Legacy Recognition Program was established earlier this year to formally recognize and honor our city staff retirees for their significant contributions to the city. The policy established a structured nomination and selection process. Since that time, a review committee was formed. The program was promoted and nominations were accepted. We received several really, really impressive nominations. There are a lot of staff throughout the years that have contributed to the success of the city in many ways. After careful consideration and review of those nominations, a diverse group of nominees representing several decades and several departments showcase that appreciation that this community has for those nominees. What we would like to do today, because of the high quality and exceptional number of staff that were nominated. In our original policy, we asked for 6 for the inaugural year. We would like to ask you to increase that to 10. Our top 10 scoring nominees was a tight group. They scored very closely and very highly. So rather than recommend 6 for our first year of the Legacy program, we would like to recommend 10 staff. Those 10 staff are on a paper in front of you. There's also a scoring sheet that is represented there, so you can see a little bit more about what our committee went through in making these nominations. With these results, this will offer a really a high caliber and a high impact to get us started with this Legacy program. With your approval of these 10 candidates, the recipients will be notified, and then we'll plan a reception coming up soon so that our City Council will have an opportunity to recognize those staff, and then we will begin accepting nominations for the following year as well.
How many total nominations did you have?
We had 27 nominations representing 23 applicants. A few received double nominations.
Thank you for your hard work on this. I know that's a tough job, and the entire group who got together to evaluate. But I appreciate you coming back if you see that there were more than what. We knew the first year was going to be tough, right? So,
I move we approve the recommendation.
Second.
motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Gales Harris. Mr. Maxwell. Vice Mayor Shacklet. Mr. Wright. Mayor McFarland.
All right, let's move. Thank you, Angela. All right, let's move to item 14, the Salem Highway Corridor Development Density and Sewer Capacity.
You all have seen this before. I believe I've presented it twice, and I think everybody here has seen this, but we wanted to recap and discuss come on. Salem Barfield Sewer Subbasin, and as well as development further out Salem Highway past this Salem Barfield Sewer Subbasin. So this first slide shows Basin 11 in the heavy blue outline. It is larger than the area that we are concerned with as far as sewer capacity issues and constraints. The green, heavy green line and the hatching is the Salem Barfield Subbasin, and where we are concerned with the limited number of single-family connections that we can allow. So just as a reminder as well, we extended about 8,900 linear feet of gravity sewer and upsizing that in this basin, and that was about a $12 million expense, and that added 3,473 single-family unit equivalent connections in that basin. And again, we are talking about the sub-basin that you saw in the heavy green line. And it's outlined here in black is the same basin. As of January 2023, when we started this, we had about 979 acres that were vacant both inside and outside the city limits. And as vacant, the orange, the vacant inside the city is highlighted orange, and the vacant outside the city is kind of in that light orange hatching. There was about 200, as of now, in September of 2025, there's about 220 acres vacant inside the city limits in this subbasin, and outside is about 425 vacant acres. If you take, when we started this, with the 979 acres and the 3,473 single-family units, that gives us a density on average for everybody, if we were going to try and serve all of the property that is vacant, both within and outside the city, it would be about 3.5 single-family units per acre. Now, I went through and created this table, and it's been modified from what you've seen it previously, but we started out with 3,473 connections. The number of site plans that have been approved by planning and the proposed single-family unit equivalents to those is 774 connections. That was as of September, which leaves 2,699 single-family unit equivalent connections remaining. In addition to that, there are plans or properties that have reserved sewer capacity, but they do not have approved plans yet, and that is the Stillwaters property. And they have reserved 457 single-family units worth, and that is based on the size of that property as well as the zoning. So that reservation leaves us with 2,242 connections. So looking at how we might develop out this basin, here are, in blue, are some alternatives. If we used inside the city the existing zoning and the acreage of that on a first-come, first-served basis with no variances, we would have around 1,006 single-family unit equivalents, and we would have 1,236 left available. And again, that is with no variances. Or we could develop inside the city limits if we gave across the board using 5 single-family units per acre, knowing that some are only allowed 2.5 single-family units per acre, and some are allowed 9. But if we did it across the board with 5 only, that would be 1,100 connections for a remaining of 1,142 connections. And then kind of playing on that for property outside the city limits. If we wanted to develop property outside the city limits, assuming a 3 single-family unit connection. Going back up here to using the current zoning at 1,236, if we subtract it out, or you can see, assuming a development outside the city at 3 single-family units per acre, we would not be able to serve all of that property with 3 single-family units per acre and using the current zoning inside the city. We would kind of be in a negative number that you see there at minus 39 single-family units or minus 33, 133. So then if we gave everybody outside the city limits at 2.5 single-family units per acre, coming from the 1,236 again inside the city limits using the current zoning, and taking the 1,063, we would be able to serve all of the properties. So let me fast forward here. So basically, Darren and I got together, we came up with this slide, kind of trying to make some recommendations on how the basin should develop. Using the current zoning with no sewer variances, we are not able to serve all of the outside city acreage at 3 single-family units per acre. Not all of that acreage may come into the city. If inside the city limits, we were using an average of 5 single-family units per acre, that would be even less if we brought in outside city sewer at 3 units per acre. And then you can see how that would play out if we did the 2.5 single-family units per acre for outside city, using the current zoning or an average of 5 single-family units per acre, 79 SFUs. So there's recommendations here. One is, and these are just recommendations of staff. Council doesn't have to obviously go with these, but one would be to retain the current single-family unit zoning for properties inside the city limits with no variances, given no variances greater than 5 single-family units per acre. But knowing that we cannot give everyone 5 single-family units over the current zoning and still allow the 2.5 single-family units per acre for all county acreage. And that is moving forward with allowing the 2.5 single-family units per acre on average for future properties annexed into the city limits. So I'll stop there for discussion, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. I know that's a lot of numbers, and I can go back to the previous table if you would like. But, you know, there's a lot there, and I might need to stop here and let planning go forward with additional properties outside of this basin, further out Salem Highway to develop.
I think it would be good for you all to see kind of what's been developed and what the densities that have been approved beyond the basin and inside the basin.
Let me ask you this question. This was all kind of brought forward because of that project on Casey Lane.
Yes.
And if it would have been one zone, it wouldn't have had a variance, and if it had the other zone, it would. So
Right.
how do you calculate something like that in a calculation like this? Because depending on what zonage they ask for, it could or could not need a variance.
Right. Well, with the PRD, we know when they're coming in and zoning, asking for zoning PRD, now that's 7 per acre. So that's happened, I think there's an example, 3 instances of where that's happened. And we know, we know now to look for that, right? So these 3 that came in as PRD with 7 units per acre, it didn't require a sewer variance, so it didn't really trigger not an alarm, but didn't trigger us to kind of raise a flag. So now moving forward, when they have if there's a PRD rezoning, we know we're looking at 7 per acre, and that's going to be a flag. We'll flag it from this point forward.
That's what I was mainly getting
Right.
at.
Gotcha.
So, Mr. Wright referenced the fact that this originated with a zoning request and a sewer variance request that council heard on October the 2nd. It was for a townhome development on Cason Lane, just to the north, to the rear of the Walmart neighborhood market. And so one of the outcomes from that discussion was a request from the planning staff to provide additional information on approved development in that area, so that you know what has been approved. And so we went beyond just the sewer basin that Ms. Smith just went over. So you'll see on this map that Mr. Donovan put together, we appreciate his hard work on it. The area that is in the purple outline is the area that is in the affected sewer basin. So as you can see, we went beyond that. We went all the way to the southwest to the current city limits. So this map really takes from about Barfield Road, the River Rock Boulevard area, down to the new Riley Farms subdivision, which is under construction. So I won't go over the red areas. Those are the non-residential, primarily commercial developments that have been approved, unless you would like more information on those. I think the crux of the request for information from council was with regards to residential developments and the density that has been approved for those residential developments. So I'll just go through those one by one and describe them. So number 2 on the list is located right here. That's the Waits Creek Crossing subdivision. And Waits Creek Crossing currently has a pending rezoning request that will be on your agendas on January the 8th to rezone 9.6 acres from RS6 to RSA2, which is the suburban townhouse zoning designation. I think the potential there is about 59 dwelling units or 6.1 units per acre. That's a request from Mr. Lloyd that will be before you in a couple of months. Down to number 6. Number 6 is the rezoning request that was kind of the impetus for this discussion, as Mr. Wright just alluded to. It is a rezoning from OG and CF to PUD, and that zoning request is pending before you right now. It's been deferred pending the outcome of the discussion today and the direction you give us moving forward. The density in that development was 94 dwelling units on 14.84 acres, which equates to 6.3 dwelling units per acre. And if anybody wants to follow along, I did put copies of this on your tables as well. Ms. Smith mentioned Stillwater. That is a little bit of an unusual entry in this list because we do not have approved plans for it to go vertical. But they have taken the step to reserve sewer capacity in that. And so that's 73 acres, and they have reserved 372.36 single-family unit equivalents, which equates to 5.1 dwelling units per acre. As I mentioned, there are no...
That's apartments, right?
It's zoned commercial and RM16, and so I think we don't have a specific plan for what they are wanting to do. I know they brought forth a sewer variance request about 5 or 6 months ago that had kind of a layout, and it was for a greater density than what they are showing on this than what we are showing on this table. But council deferred action on that because I think it was a little bit beyond what the number was a little bit beyond what council was comfortable approving at that time.
Just so we make sure, even though we have an RM16 zoning, the zoning may allow the 16 units per acre, but our sewer will not allow 16 units per acre.
That's correct. It's per the sewer allocation ordinance, it's a maximum of 9 dwelling units per acre.
Okay.
If we go over to number 12 on the list, and this is another unusual entry in the list because it is the Boxwood Plantation Plan Development, which was approved about 20 years ago, total of 107.21 acres with 441 potential dwelling units, which equates to a density of 4.1 dwelling units per acre. I say that it's a little bit unusual is because it was approved approximately 20 years ago. Construction never moved forward. Now it's being held by a landowner, the same landowner that we purchased the Salem Elementary land from. And that particular landowner owns quite a bit of large tracts in that area with, to my knowledge, no intention of developing any of it. So even though that particular property is zoned for 441 units, we don't see that developing anytime soon. And if it did, it would probably be coming back in with a different plan. Number 13 on the list is the Salem Town Townhomes. That is the back half of the Fellowship United Methodist Church property, which has recently been sold to Harney Construction for a townhome development on that property, the total acreage of which is 8.74 acres for 47 units, which equates to 5.4 dwelling units per acre. The site plan for which has already been approved by the Planning Commission. Number 14 on the list is the final section of the Three Rivers single-family residential subdivision. That's Three Rivers Section 12. That is 23.3 acres with 55 dwelling units for a density of 2.4 dwelling units, and those are single-family detached dwelling units. If we jump back over to number 5, that's Waits Creek Crossing, sections 4 and 5. Those are the southernmost sections of Waits Creek Crossing. Those are single-family detached homes, and those are zoned RSA 1. And that's 22.1 acres with 68 dwelling units for a density of 3.1 dwelling units per acre. I think that may be a little bit misleading because there is a large wetland in there that I think has probably moved that acreage down a little bit. Number 16 is very similar to number 12 in that it is a very, very old planned development, about 20 years old. It's the Glenbrook PRD, which was approved in 2007. Now it is once again in that same landholding entity that the Boxwood Plantation is under, but just for informational purposes, as I mentioned, same with Boxwood Plantation. If anything moved forward on this property, we would expect that they would be coming in for an amendment to the plan development and that they wouldn't use the existing plan. But it's 40.63 acres, 163 dwelling units for a total density of about 4 units per acre. Yes, sir.
So Adam, on those PRDs that are 20-plus years old, the state law on vesting, is there a, vesting on plans, is there a time limit on that? Or is it just, once it's approved? I know bulk zoning, once you have a plan approved, there's a vesting right on there.
I think there is. I'd have to go back and look. But for some reason, I do think there is an expiration date, but I couldn't tell you what it is off the top of my head.
It would be interesting to know on those, Matthew, do you know that?
I could actually address that.
Yeah.
So in our zoning ordinance, we do have a provision for the revocation of a planned development that has sat dormant for a certain period of time. That's a provision in our zoning ordinance that we have never moved forward in pursuing. But it does require legislative action by the city council because it would require rezoning it to something else because it is the zoning that goes with the property.
Wouldn't it be safe to say if you've got a plan that, I remember voting on Boxwood and the Glenbrook that came through,
Back when you were on the planning commission.
Yeah, and so I would just think that it's reasonable that if you've got a plan that sat out there specific, that was one of our first plan developments that I think we ever did. If you've got a plan that sat there for 20 years, things change. So, I would like maybe to have a discussion at a workshop that we just say, hey, a 20-year-old plan that's never started, then the PRD booklet is invalid, and we need to rezone it back to an reverts back to an RS-15, and if somebody wants to bring it back through, then they can do that. But we're sitting here trying to make planning decisions and sewer capacity decisions on a property that was zoned 20 years ago that is being held in a land bank that we're hurting everyone else. And that doesn't seem fair.
And that's why I was just going to say, that's why I wanted to make it clear in this presentation that while those numbers are out there, they're very different than the other numbers on this sheet where there are developments that are actively being pursued.
And if the developer if someone's buying property just to hold, there's nothing wrong with doing that. But, you know, when we rezoned that property back in 2000, whenever it was, I mean, that was one of those things. I think that was the McCullough farm, that they were planning on doing something and going through. And then now that it's not, then we need to be able to plan around that.
This is, I think, a very critical point to understand, too. All these that are approved at planning, all the densities, all the PUDs, all the PRDs, if they don't reserve the sewer, they really don't have the right to connect to sewer. So this is where we've got that third column that talks about reserved. There's only one entity out there, property out there, and they don't have an approved set of plans, but they're the only ones right now that have reservation for capacity. So we created that reservation of capacity for the sewer to avoid the flipping situation where somebody would come in, get it entitled, hold on to it, and then try to hold on to it for several years until they could flip it to a different developer. We said, no, if you come in, and this is where I think we may want to go back and address the sewer allocation ordinances to say, listen, once you are approved at planning for a certain, if it's a planned development or other plan that's been approved, you're on the clock to actually get the sewer reserved. You know, you got to put your money down in the next 12 to 18 months to reserve the sewer capacity, so you don't sit out here for 5 years with really no rights to the sewer. You've got land use, right? The rights that are part of the project that are approved, but you need to pair that up with the actual reservation of the sewer capacity at some point.
Well, and that's the issue that we're in right now. We passed the sewer capacity ordinance back
19.
Yeah, so 6 years ago. And, you know, we've got all this zoning that's out there, like Boxwood, that I guarantee has got a higher density than what's on our sewer capacity. And so the sewer capacity ordinance does not coincide with the zoning ordinance. So just like Stillwater, you're zoned at RM16, but you can only get really half that for sewer capacity. So that may be a discussion for the Planning Commission and maybe even the December meeting, just to do a quick, hey, where are you guys on not site plans, but plan developments that are, I mean, I would say over 10 years old, that there's so much that changes in a 10-year span that once you get past that 10-year mark, that if you've not started, then that is null and void, and you go back to whatever zoning the city council decides.
Well, and the reservation, that's a 30-month reservation. You put 10% of your connection fees down, you get 30 months, 2.5 years. You put another 10% down, you get another 30 months. You can do that up to 4 times for 10 years. If you don't develop within 10 years and you've got 40% of your connection fees down, those are forfeit. They're non-refundable. So you can reserve it and extend your project life, and those will be credited to it when you move on the project. But after 10 years, they got to reset on the sewer capacity.
Does that apply to the ones here from 2005 and 2007, the Boxwood and the Glenbrook?
Yeah, I would, yes. Right now, they do not have any sewer capacity reserved. They would have to come in and pay for that money down to get that reservation of the capacity.
So they could have, in theory, already put that money down, but
it would have been expired by now. If it's 10 years, it would have expired.
But the tough part with that is they could reserve capacity, but the capacity they're reserving, I mean, so I guess in this case, that plan is going to have to come back and be completely reworked. I mean, road requirements have changed. All kinds of things have changed in the last 20 plus years. So, I mean, if you're the developer, you probably wouldn't want to pay sewer capacity on something that you don't even know what is going to be approved. So,
I think, and if you want to keep going, I think that's. But I think the overarching message we're wanting to deliver to the council today is we do have our eye on the ball. And you can see from the densities that have been approved in the past kind of what's been common. And it catches staff's attention when there's a high density that's coming in, or there's a trend for rezoning properties to this higher density, that at some point it's not sustainable. We can't serve everybody at 6. We really can't serve everybody at 5 if we want to talk about the future county. You may not want to talk about future county stuff. Say, they got nothing. They're outside the city, and until they're in the city, they're not part of the conversation. If you want to give everybody the current, I mean, I don't know if we ran that scenario, if we served 0 county outside the city limits today, what could we provide density-wise inside the city? So it's just, it's going to be, I mean, it's a scenario-driven situation, and it's a case-by-case. I mean, we can probably wear you out on the different scenarios, and the numbers get, even our heads get a little swimmy on it at some point. But we just know we've got a constraint out here in the form of sewer capacity. When someone comes in for 6 or 7, it just starts to stress the situation, and we can't do that for everybody. That's the bottom line. So I don't know if you guys want to keep going through but you can see the densities up there. I don't know if it's worth.
I'd be happy to go through quickly and get, and
I mean, I think everyone, based on what you've given us, sort of gets the gist of where we are. I mean, Matthew, this is great. I think this is also what we talked about a couple of months ago, seeing this in overall, this is the west side of town, sort of. But it may be good as we start seeing larger developments come in that you're giving us this for, south side, for north, and be able to really see, hey, here's what's out there. Here's when it was approved. I mean, I didn't know that those 2 developments were approved 20 years ago and have just sat there. So it's 160 acres and 700 units that are approved that are just sort of sitting there. That'd be a good discussion for all of us to have.
Yes, sir. I would just also mention that, without going through the rest of them, that 21 through 30 are the ones that are outside of the affected sewer basin, and 21 and 22 are the 2 pending zoning applications along Old Salem Road before City Council.
Where's the big acreage that is being talked about coming into the city, the 200 and some odd acres? Where is that property?
The one that we discussed at our joint conceptual workshop
It's
on Franklin Road?
Isn't there?
Talking about the Pike Farm and.
Oh,
Jarrett
okay,
Farm.
okay.
Yeah, Pike and Jarrett, that's it.
Yes,
I mean,
so I
know-
believe it is this property right here.
Okay.
So all that on the left side, starting at Veterans with 21 all the way down to 30, all that's in a different basin.
That's correct. A basin that, to my understanding, is not constrained.
We're really looking at what you've got there in that purple
Right.
kind of dotted. That's that basin.
Right. West of that purple was just a snapshot of development along Salem Highway to honor y'all's request from a month or so ago.
Yeah, that's the whole site that we approved off of Thompson and
Mayor, to
27. 27's it's next to Rockville High School, yeah. No, that's 30. It's next to Rock, yeah.
Mayor, in further answer to your question about the expiration of vesting rights, and agree what Matthew said with respect to the local zoning ordinance, but the state law that governs municipal planning regulations, those, depending on the level of approval, whether it's a preliminary development plan, or it's a final, whether it's a building permit, whether it's a development that is developed in stages, that vesting period can be anywhere from 2 to 15 years.
Okay.
But yes, there is it's not forever.
It would be interesting to see, not only here, but how many projects have we had approved that are maybe over 20 years old that are inside the city that have been approved and are just sitting there, and maybe that's another discussion point, but.
Gerald Lee is working on that right now, so they anticipated your requirement or your request.
Man, y'all are good. All right.
Would like to take a moment to recognize Roger Goodson here, General Manager for CUD. He hadn't joined us on our workshop before, and this is probably a good one for you to have joined, Roger, just to kind of see what's going on here with the densities and whatnot, since you're the water provider out there.
Thank you. Sorry. I just wanted to take the opportunity to stop by, say hi, so you guys put a face to the name and know what a big part and partnership we have with the city, and just wanted to make sure I know most of my engineering staff works hard with planning and everything like that, and I just want to make sure that we continue to have a good relationship. We work hard with Valerie and her team and everything, so I just want to stop by and watch this and watch you guys do your thing, and this was a good one because I'm really interested in all the growth going on out there, so thank you all.
And
You guys might need to go present at the CUD board meeting, this same presentation.
I was going to say, we do appreciate the good working relationship we have with their engineering office, Alan Stumpke and his team over there. If there are no other questions, I guess I would ask, does the mayor and council feel that they have been provided sufficient information for the rezoning and the sewer allocation variance to be put back on the next council agenda for whatever decision y'all decide to make on those?
For the property that,
On Cason Lane, that
Number 6.
that's currently in a holding pattern because of the deferrals on it.
is everybody okay with that?
If you do it for one, you got to do it for everybody. Just remember that.
Well, I had told them that this discussion was going to be happening today, and they're I think patiently waiting to go back on an agenda whenever council feels that it's appropriate.
I mean, I would rather you say, yeah, no, I don't, this is not a good rationale, but like my rationale thinking through this, I don't like giving a sewer variance on a project that has not been zoned yet. And so you're really almost putting the cart before the horse to say, yeah, we're okay with the density and the sewer variance, but we don't even know if Planning Commission is okay with rezoning the property or that the council's okay with rezoning the property. So, it almost is like, hey, if you want to ask for a variance to the sewer and you want to see if you can get that density approved, then bring your entire project through the process as opposed to us approving. It's almost like we're giving the project the green light for a sewer variance, even though it's not even gone through the rezoning process.
This one, Mayor McFarland, was one that so our policy since we adopted the sewer allocation ordinance, our internal policy has been to not accept a site plan or a zoning application unless the sewer variance has been approved, if a sewer variance is needed, because without that sewer variance, the developer, if he's moving forward with his plans, is putting a lot of money into developing those plans, not knowing if he'll be able to get the sewer variance. And I think, so this is one that kind of got, under our normal protocols, the cart got before the horse a little bit on this one, but that's been our rationale up until this point. And I think that one stopgap measure would be that if you approve the sewer allocation variance prior to the zoning or the site plan like we've been doing, I think point well taken, it would probably need to be contingent upon the zoning or the site plan being approved so that we're not on the hook for that capacity if the companion zoning and site plan is not approved. But we're certainly happy to alter our protocols if council desires.
I don't know.
I think we're trying to save the applicant money. If what I just heard Matthew say is if we don't give them the sewer allocation, the sewer variance on the front end, then they've got to go through the full plans process through the zoning and spend time on engineering fees, and then if they get denied the sewer variance, then those engineering fees are,
But I mean, if we give the sewer,
Forfeit.
and I'm
yeah.
playing devil's advocate.
Sure.
If we approve a sewer variance on the front end, then we pretty much are saying that we're okay with
The density.
the density of a different subdivision coming through.
Right.
So it's really you're danged if you do, danged if you don't. The developer doesn't know if it'll be approved or, I mean, I'm just thinking like if the developer brought through and said, hey, this is what we're looking at doing, and then it comes to city council, and we're like, I know we approved the sewer variance, but no, we don't like this project, we're going to turn it down.
Yeah. I think most of them are easy to do because they're usually food service or some type of commercial that it's like it's employment generating and commercial sales tax. And so there's a lot of, hey, yeah, if we want a food service here, a restaurant, whatever, those are, or even a retail market, those are usually pretty easy to give the variances. It's really the residential. I understand. It's a, you don't, if you approve it, then you're green lighting it before planning commission has a chance. But conversely, if they approve it at planning commission, then,
We haven't had a lot of residential come through.
no, and that's where we understood, that's where with the PUD versus the PRD kind of game came into play, is like, if they'd have come in as PRD, they'd have gotten 7 per acre, there'd have been no sewer variance request at all. Since they came in at PUD, which is 4 per acre, and that's another thing we talked about as a group, we really need to reconcile that, the PUD versus the PRD, we need to,
Yeah.
those two need to marry up.
Yeah.
Sorry, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, again, I mean,
Well, and the rezoning is kind of a de facto variance request.
yes.
Because once they get the zoning, they may not, and it goes from 2.5, single-family units per acre for Cason Lane property up to just say PRD, up to 7.
This may be good for a different discussion, like, a coffee shop or a restaurant to get a sewer variance based contingent upon zoning, that's one thing. But when you're bringing a residential development in, like the apartment complex tried to do, and ask for an increased variance on the front end, then all of a sudden, you're locking the council in to where that developer, I guarantee you, is going to get up and say, well, you approved the variance to the sewer back 6 months ago. Why are you not approving my plan?
And Aaron brought up a great point that she just texted me. We do have a joint conceptual workshop deal now where these folks can come in and collectively present what they're proposing and get that feedback initially.
I just think asking the city council to approve a sewer variance before a zoning is taking place puts all of us as elected officials in a really tough spot. Because we're approving a sewer variance that we don't even know that the planning commission would approve the plan.
Right.
And if they approve the plan, and I'm just saying on residential, not commercial or some of that other, but think about this from a neighbor standpoint. If you're a neighbor and we don't have a public hearing on sewer variances, then the neighbor's going to look at the city council and say, well, y'all have already voted to increase the density on a piece of property, and we didn't even get to talk about whether the variance would be approved or not. So
I agree with you. There's a process. Why make an exception for one person when there's a process in place?
And maybe if I may interject, maybe the dividing line is when it requires rezoning, which requires the public hearing process, as opposed to a site plan where like we have a McDonald's that's going to be coming before y'all soon for a sewer variance that does not require rezoning, it just requires site plan approval. But before they get their site plan approval, they have to have their sewer variance.
Sure.
So maybe that rezoning process where y'all have to opine on the zoning of the property is the bright line.
I mean, maybe even if it really would be easier just to say if it's non-residential, then as a council, we can easily look at impact. We're not talking about schools. We're not talking, we could say on non-commercial, we're okay with those coming through. But if it's a residential request where you're asking for more density than what is currently approved, that needs to go through the process. So,
Good feedback. Thank you.
thanks, Matthew. Thanks, Valerie. This is really helpful. Okay, what the workshop's for. Any questions for the August and September dashboard? All right, seeing none, we have no board and commission appointments. I would ask the council if you'll be thinking about this. We're going to need to have a appointment to I think it's called the Board of Equalization. So right now, the city appoints 2 members. It's Richard Reeves and Shelby Hutton are the 2 people. So they look at, Aaron, tell me, I think this is right, they look at appeals. So if a resident appeals their assessed value, there's a board that's appointed between the county, Murfreesboro, Laverne, and Smyrna and Eagleville. So we need a recommendation for one person to go on that board. I vote Austin. Kidding. No, a citizen needs to go on there. So if y'all think about that, we need someone preferably with real estate experience and could know property values. So.
So ideally, I guess somebody who is a realtor or real estate.
Someone, who is familiar with property. I mean, so what you end up having is you've got the assessor will argue why they came up with the value, and you'll have it's typically commercial businesses are the ones that are, and so the commercial business will come in with their attorneys and say why it should be something, and so they hear that and then make a determination on it. But we need one citizen to go on there. All right, beer permits.
Yes, we have 1 beer permit for a new restaurant located at 5131 Franklin Road. The applicant has met our requirements, and we recommend for approval pending any final building and codes inspections.
Approval.
Second.
Motion second, please call the roll.
Ms. Scales Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet. Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Any statements to be paid?
No, sir.
Any other business from staff?
Mayor, I would like just real briefly, Ms. Lexi Stacy to come up and show you guys the Murfreesboro Safe Streets website. I don't know if I just saw it today. It's really impressive, and I think it's give you all some insight.
I don't know if you guys have seen the MurfreesboroSafeStreets.com website or not. We just kind of wanted to very briefly introduce it to you. SafeStreets.com. You can get to it here by the MurfreesboroSafeStreets.com web address, or you can get to it through MurfreesboroTN.gov. It's on the main webpage under a spotlight. So this is kind of our initiative to get citizen feedback, which is a requirement through our grant that we received called the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant. You guys voted on that back in June. And so the grant kind of has 2 kind of data pools. One is crash data and the other one is citizen comments. And so we have this survey here that if you have any citizens reach out to you or anything, you can give them this address or this email web address, and they can put their comments by a point on the map. And so we have, as you can see, a ton already. This has only been up for about 2 weeks, and we have received an absolute ton of responses. We've done our initiative on Facebook. We have done a press release. We've also going to be doing a few public events. So our first public event is this weekend. We're setting up a booth at here actually at the airport on Sunday. They're having a Meet Santa event. And so we're going to be setting up a booth to get more people involved. So So there's this website. If you have anybody reach out to you about concerns with pedestrian movements or, crashes or near misses, which is I've almost gotten a wreck here, you can point them to this website and they can leave their comment. One other thing that is on here is the safety dashboard, and this is a lot of our crash data that we have compiled with Kimley Horn. There's a lot of really good information on here about how wrecks and the major intersections that those wrecks are happening at, as you can see in this map here. And the orange dots are fatal accidents. Blue are serious injury dots. So the goal with this is to create a priority list that is mixed, kind of between these data points and citizen responses. So,
That's so good.
if you have anyone reach out to you wanting to leave comments, this is the way to go.
Is this an app?
It is not an app. It is a web address, so they can get it. It is mobile friendly, though. So if they get on their iPhone and type in murfreesborosafestreets.com, it's mobile friendly, super easy. And also, we are working on a Spanish survey. So they are able to translate this into Spanish, but they are working on a second survey that is Spanish. They are not able to translate.
I'll do this internally?
No, we are working with Kimley Horn.
Okay.
This is a joint effort.
All the data and.
A lot of the data.
Great work.
We've done one of these map surveys before with Greenway, Blueway, Bikeway plan, and so when we got with Kimley Horn, we told them we wanted a similar product for this, and it's been really, really. It's engaging. There's a lot of people that are engaging with it, which is what we wanted. So
Great work. All right, any other business from staff? No meeting next week?
No meeting on the 20th or the 27th. We will meet again on December 4th, night meeting.
Happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Any business from council?
Happy belated Veterans Day.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were out.
And I think most of y'all, we put out an announcement on Tuesday, but the Grand Marshal for the Christmas Parade is going to be Bill Allen. And so Bill celebrated his 100th birthday in July, and I can't think of a better person to be the Grand Marshal. So just have to make sure and keep Bill warm.
Can we get a World War II Jeep? Let him bounce around in that and keep him warm in the Jeep,
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So,
Hey, we're putting you on that. In charge.
One last thing. I am I'm headed to Prattville this afternoon. I'll be gone tomorrow and be traveling back Monday. So Aaron will be acting city manager while I'm in my absence.
Everyone enjoy your families. Thank y'all. All the look in the room. It's all our city team. So we really appreciate y'all. Be grateful for that time with your families. No other business. We'll stand adjourned.